what's understood ain't it gon' be explained. They know my name, what's understood ain't it gon' be explained.
It's your boy Crookstar. Let's talk about it. Yes, people. Welcome back to my channel. Well, a lot of people's been asking me, like, who's my intro? And obviously I got a new outro and that. And they've been asking me and that, like, who's my man? So these times now, I found a documentary, you get me? So it's like I thought, you know what, let me just upload this to my channel. So anybody that's interested, like, tune in. Let's talk about it. Bye.
Woosky, STL/EBT. Around 2009 and 2010, Woosky lived with his brother Big Mike in Parkway Gardens, Wick City/O Block. Woosky was already a GD at the time, and unlike Big Mike, Woosky continued to be a GD. Woosky's older brother, Fella, whom he did not know very well, was killed by GDs. This was one of the reasons why Big Mike, who had a better relationship with Fella than with Woosky, chose to become a BD. Big Mike was a loved member in Wick City. However, he still talked to Woosky from time to time, despite the fact that Woosky chose another path and became GD. Woosky started hanging with E-Block and started repping STL/EBT. He did not care what anyone thought of it. However, Woosky had to stay out of the way. At the time, only the older guys from Wick City and STL/EBT shot at each other. But people from Wick City had heard that Big Mike's little brother was STL/EBT. They could not touch him, but they forbade all the shorties from hanging out with him. Around 2010, Woosky started hanging out with FBG, Duck and Tuka and started shooting at TYMB. At the time, Wick City and TYMB were cool with each other. Woosky was still living in Parkway Gardens when he hung out with Duck and Tuka. C-Murda and Big Mike were the people who made sure nobody jumped Woosky at the time. C-Murda also prevented the older guys from hurting Duck. This is because Duck, Woosky and Tuka always used to come to Wick City to fight after problems with Wick City shorties at school earlier in the day. At the time, it was lame for an older guy to kill a 14 to 15-year-old boy. The shorties' beef was their beef. When Woosky, Tuka and other STL members came to Wick City more frequently, the older ones started handing out guns to the younger Wick City members. That's actually how Chief Keef, D-Roy and King Bun jumped off the porch. Woosky had already started using weapons and had fired at TYMB several times. However, never against Wick City because of his brother. Woosky came to Wick City with some younger STL members, though this time with guns. Nothing major happened except minor fights before Woosky and his friends left. It was not until the next time things really started to blow up. Instead of Woosky coming to Wick City with shorties, he came with older STL members who actually wanted to kill. He came with people like C-Ball and Soicy. It all ended in a big fight, but this time Woosky pulled out his gun and shot Reezy, Wick City, to death. Keep in mind, Woosky was only 12 to 13 at the time. Now Woosky really had to move out of Parkway Gardens. Now even his blood brother could not protect him from being killed. Everyone in Wick City wanted to kill him. The older guys in STL took him in and let him know they had his back. Woosky came back blowing at Wick City several times after that. Wick City wanted Woosky bad after killing Reezy. Reezy was a loved and well-respected member. After Woosky popped Reezy, the war really started between Wick City and STL. Now it was about kill on sight. No passes. Before, the STL people could come to Wick City without being shot but just fighting and vice versa. Now it was shoot to kill, no fighting. However, they often fought anyway, mostly outside of school or at school. Although Woosky was STL and had killed one from the Wick, back then Woosky actually showed respect when OD died. Many wonder why Woosky and King Von are going at each other all the time and have been doing that for a long time. To begin with, Woosky and King Von have ended up in a few shootouts with each other. Woosky and Jakira shot once at Von and T-Roy, Lil Scott and Von shot at Woosky, Taekwon and Jakira another time for example. Because O-Block and STL are so close, this was common. One thing you have to be clear about is that many of the members went to school together. Many of the parents from the different sides know each other. Von hated Woosky because he killed both Reezy and Platoon who Von was close to. Von wanted Woosky bad. But at the time around 2011, Woosky still viewed Von as irrelevant. It was not until King Von stepped out of a gangway and caught Woosky's cousin Modell and put multiple shots in his chest that his name started to ring bells. Modell's cousin Miles was also shot. When Miles bent over to embrace his wounded cousin, Von showed no mercy and shot him over 5 times his back. Modell died at the hospital but Miles, with God's providence, miraculously survived. Miles was so gravely wounded that after one surgery, doctors told his father the youth's intestines fell through their hands when they picked him up. He remained in a medically induced coma for weeks. Around Christmas, Miles was moved to a specialty wound center, and then to the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago before going home in May. Teachers from Leo Catholic High School tutored him so he could keep up with his education, and he graduated June 2nd. God bless him. According to Miles' father, he was not a gang member and had managed to stay out of trouble all his life. The father also says that Modell was a wannabe gangster. But as so often in families, parents do not know the whole truth and what their children are really doing. I'm not saying that is the case now though. The next few days after Modell was killed, Woosky and some other STL members were sliding and lurking Trafo block to get back for Modell. This was also the start of the Twitter beefing between Von and Woosky. Woosky wrote to Von on Twitter the day after Modell got killed, and after that they wrote to each other on Twitter frequently. On November 7th, Woosky and King Von once again end up in a dispute on Twitter. This time a more scary. Von claims that he has more bodies and attempts than Woosky, while Woosky claims the opposite. This is 2012. Woosky is around 15 to 16 years old and King Von 17 to 18 years old. Two teenagers openly discuss on Twitter in front of the public about who was killed the most. Now we are jumping forward 3 years in the story. In April 2015, Woosky and Mello, Hottie Way, were out looking for ops. They spotted Chris from 400 East Murda Drive in a car. They both approached the car and they both shot him to death. This is why Woosky in the song Computer says I'm 400 East Killer. Woosky was later arrested in late 2015 for a gun and was locked up until his release in September 2017. 2 months after Woosky came out, he was seeking revenge for what Get Back Gang had done. O-Block had caught about 7 people after T-Roy got killed in early 2017. Woosky was mostly looking for revenge for Kobe, Taekwon World, and Brick, STL/EBT, who were killed simultaneously by OB600. He was also looking for revenge for TB and Poppy. He was looking for HK, the Get Back King and Headshot King. On November 24, 2017, Lilcho, Taekwon World, Skinny, Jaro City, and Woosky, STL/EBT, were out looking for ops. They went to O-Block and spotted HK outside the gates. HK saw them and started running into the O. HK actually tried to pump fake like Woosky said in Computers. All 3 shot HK when he tried to run away. He fell and then they shot him multiple times in his body. This was a big score for STL/EBT. Now Lil Cho and the whole Taekwon World had revenge for both DB, Poppy and Kobe. Skinny and the whole Jaro City had received revenge for Fredio, Jaro City, and Lil Ho, Jaro City, but also DB whom Skinny was very close with. Woosky and the entire STL/EBT got revenge for Brick. But now O-Block got tired of Woosky. He was a big problem for them and they had to get him out of the way. The Get Back movement was still in full effect. Duke and Muwop first got Can't Get Right out of the way. In October 2018, Capfuck 12, 600, and DQ, O-Block, captured Dusky and shot him to death. O-Block knew that Dusky's funeral would be large and that many members would be there, including Woosky. They could not catch him in any other way. E-Dog and Von FaceTimed with Woosky a few days before the funeral and said we will surprise you. E-Dog also tweeted things like Get Back Gang going to get rid of him, and I got something for head.
I wish I could say one of y'all was my boys. We got all goofies over there.
I ain't tell you what to do it tonight on
What
Cheeto.
y'all off the courage? What made y'all do it tonight?
Listen, we gon' surprise.
It's time about tonight.
We gon' surprise, bro.
Now it was time. Both DQ and Moowop jumped out of a car, with Gleesh and D-Dog waiting in the cut. They jumped out and started shooting at the crowd outside the funeral. Members like Lil Ant and Lil Bobo were the first to shoot back. It was now bullets flying wild back and forth, and the bullets had no name. The whole operation was close to failing. Moowop went back to the car. Woosky started shooting, and now it was DQ and Woosky who shot at each other back and forth. Woosky caught a bullet to the head. When DQ saw Woosky falling to the ground, he immediately ran and fled through the nearby street and caught up with the rest of the guys in the car. Helicopters were quickly up in the air, as well as police cars everywhere on the streets. SWAT cars also came quickly to the crime scene, probably due to the use of heavy weapons. 6 people in total was shot at the funeral. Luckily all of them survived. It was hot outside on the streets the next few days. O-Block was shot up multiple times the day after, and many STL/EBT members were lurking to get back. It was almost lucky for O-Block that Woosky didn't die. STL/EBT would have turned up big time for Woosky, just like O-Block did after T-Roy got killed. It would be on that level. Woosky had also many sets behind his back. He was close to Jaro City, Taekwon World, Mob and more. All of them would have slid for him. Just like they do for FBG Duck right now. I hope Woosky stays off the streets and takes revenge for FBG Duck through the music instead of killing. Thank you for watching the video. Comment on what you thought of it. Rest in peace to the people whose lives were taken in the gang wars.
Got hit with a missile. He tried to run, we chased him down and left him walking crippled. Glocks, chops, shots.